All right, let's start. Please join your hand in front of the heart and bow. Hello, everyone. This is really a pleasure to meet with you again this Sunday. Yes, we can start with offering respect and gratitude to our parents, mother and father. Without them, we wouldn't be here. I invite you that for if you have any concerns with them, because they have their own temperament and we have different kind of bonds with our mother and father, sometimes easy ones, sometimes it's difficult, but anyway, without um, them and their union, we wouldn't be alive. So, no matter the resentments, problems we have with them, whatever our childhood was, easy or difficult, then without them, we wouldn't be there. And also, I invite you just to reflect for a moment the fact that as a baby, you have really like very fragile and without the help of your mother for the first at least couple of years, then we wouldn't be alive. So for that I invite you, it's an invitation, but to express respect and gratefulness for that. So thank you, mother, thank you, father. Sometimes it's not easy. I know that for some of you who are there, the relationships with parents were or are not easy. I didn't have an easy childhood myself, and it took me really a lot of time to realize how much, anyway, how much I owe my parents. And even if they were some unwholesome behaviors from all parties, I would say nowadays I've learned to be grateful for at least the food that I had every day on my plate, for the shelter, and I think that anyhow they did their best with what they knew. Let's say let's say it like this. And well, I'm very glad because um, I could get access to the Dharma and I can share the Dharma today. So, yeah, that's quite a gift. That's quite a gift. And oftentimes we have the tendency just to remember the bad sides of people, let's say, of the conflicts that we have. And we keep that in mind and really discarding maybe the whole picture or how it has evolved over time. So without analyzing too much, it's also good to realize that. And also those first years of being a baby, a toddler, we do not remember that much. We do not know if we do not have bear a child ourselves or taken care of a baby ourselves. We do not know what kind of sacrifice it is for a mother. It's full-time attention to the baby, to the child. And just for that, for those years, those first years, whatever how our mother was, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm alive. I can listen to the Dhamma. What a chance and what a gift. So thank you for that. Yes. So that was a short introduction. Until yesterday, I didn't know what would be the theme of today's talk. And well, I was training outside. I was training the sword. Outside it was raining, and once the sword training was done, I put the sword on the floor, and it was raining, so lots of rains. And when the blade is humid, it's better not to put it back into the scaffold. So I let it. I finished my training, and then I went back. I kind of squat down and say, okay, I cannot put it back into the scaffold. I have to make it to dry the blade again. So I had nothing, just my jacket. So I took off my jacket and I used a sleeve to just remove the droplets on the blade. It has stopped raining, so it was relevant to do that. So with the cloth and the sleeve of the jacket, I started to mindfully dry and remove the droplets. Not to put it back into the scaffold, but at least to bring it home, but dry. So I started. And I had that thought. And that thought was, oh, water is less sticky than blood. And it surprised me. And then I had a recall of doing this exact same actually movement on the blade to actually remove blood, right? So it was a kind of, believe it or not, past life memory. A past life memory. And then, because how would I know in this lifetime that water really feels less sticky than blood on the blade? It was shocking. And so I sat again, and I thought, oh my God, how many people did I kill in the past? How many lifetimes did I spend on the battlefields, right? And I said, okay. So I started to reflect again on karma and the fact that we are reborn again and again. And also, of course, it brings back the theme that I wrote about recently about rebirth as a key teaching. And I say, okay, I have to talk about that. Because if we, as I said, when we are not, let's say, bathed from childhood into this kind of, let's say, it's more than a philosophy, but into this concept of rebirth, some call it reincarnation. Then we just forget about it. It looks like we are born from nowhere or from no reason. And then maybe we can think that after the breakup of the body, then it's the end of it. And therefore, whatever we say, we think, we do has no real consequences for the future. Because some people think that after the breakup of the body, there is, let's say, nothing else. This is the nihilist view. It's wrong view. But okay, most of my life, yes, I was brought up in this kind of view, but in my background, I say, okay, let's question. So I have no proof, no evidence, no proof to give to you, right? Also, past lives, it depends if you have the ability to bring up this kind of memories or not, or if you have the possibility to meet people who can actually bring you to live again some of those memories. So I have no evidence to give to you, but I say, okay, I feel it's an important topic also because the Buddha, during the night of his full awakening, he went through also those knowledges where he could see for himself through direct knowledge the passing away of beings and their rebirth and the link with karmas, with their craving. And this is one of the knowledge that was important. I think it's part of the full understanding of the path. And then I would like to talk about it a little bit. And I've chosen some text for today, examples, just to bring up some motivation today to practice, right? I hope it will help bring resolve. But first, practice. Let's practice. And in relation to that, I thought that contemplation of the body as a practice would be quite fitted, because we have the tendency, because due to identification with the body, we have the tendency to forget or to misconceptualize what it really is. That actually this body depends on food, So it depends on many beings as well. And we have the tendency to, I don't know if you're in your minds, it's also like it's kind of unit, and then you have the tendency to forget what's really it's made of. And when you see other people, other bodies, it's also the same. You can even find them beautiful, like, right? Contemplation of the body helps to realize again and again how fragile we are, and that this body is also not only depends on food and is made up from food, it's also made from karma, past karma. So this body is also a consequence of our past karma. And also one of the benefits is that we have a tendency maybe to think how much important we are, me, and then, yeah, body. Watch again what it is made up of. And also, I know that some of you, many of you, are going through lots of physical pain, maybe disease, maybe malfunctions of the body. And it might be very difficult to accept this situation. And as I said last week, I talked about the 5 daily recollection about that this body will go anyway through old age, to sickness, and to death. And realizing the nature of that body help actually to have the mind to the mind can get or remain calm in the midst of pain and degradation of the body. Because there is no longer any ideas about the body or any not ideas but false false ideas about the body. It's seen as it is. There is no distortion anymore. So contemplation of the body, I invite you, if you want to join, to close your eyes, to sit in a comfortable posture, that will allow you to stay alert for maybe 10-15 minutes or so. You can close your eyes if you wish to. Bring your attention back into the body. You can connect to your breath for 1 or 2 breaths. You can have a sense of the entire body sitting there. Having a perception of the space inside the body, around the body, space above the head, earth below the body, space in front of the body, in the back of the body, left side and right side. We can have a sensation, perception of the head, the neck, shoulders, left arm till the hand, right arm till the hand, torso, the belly, the upper back, lower back, the pelvis, sitting bones, the left leg till the foot, right leg till the foot, right side of the body, left flank of the body, 3D body, three-dimensional body. The skin can be felt, the sensations on the skin, maybe some tingling, some coolness, some heat, some contact on the skin of the cloth, the cushion, the chair. Then you can have a felt sense of the skull in the head, below the skin, kind of bowl, skull, the jaws, cervical spine, then the rib cage, front, back, the scapulas, collarbones that goes to the left and the right, the bones in the arms, upper arms, lower arms, the wrist, all the tiny bones in the hands. The axis of the spine, thoracic spine, lower spine, the pelvis that extend to the left and right, front and back. Thigh bones, chin bones, all the bones into the feet, skeleton. Those bones are connected to each other, to ligaments. There are also flesh, muscles, sinews that connect those bones. You can connect to the flesh, muscles, sinews in the arms, for example, or in the thighs, large muscles. Just have a felt sense, perception in the third eye. It's not a matter of knowing anatomy. It's just what you're feeling in the body or what you can see directly through direct experience. Flesh, sinews, tendons. Connecting the bones. And in that body there are organs. You can try to locate the heart, the lungs, the liver, spleen, kidneys, small intestine, large intestine, stomach. There is the brain, there is bone marrow inside the bones. There is also food in the stomach. There are feces. Being produced and moving down. There is the bladder. There is blood. All over the body, all over the skin, there are body hair and head hair. One can find liquids to the blood, urine, saliva, liquid in the eyes, some sweat, in the nose, any kind of bile. There is water contained in the connective tissue. Body. made of bones, flesh, sinews, tendons, organs, liquid, feces, food, digested food. There is cold, there is heat, body. There is skin all around, making it as a shape with some holes, hole of the mouth, hole of the nostrils, holes in the ears, other holes of the body. Skin covering up the organs, the flesh, the bones. So for the next minute or so, I invite you to stay with that perception of the body, that contemplation of the body. And whenever you're ready, slowly, slowly, you can open your eyes again. Don't rush, take your time. And realize that you are seeing the body, shape, the shape of the body. The reactions regarding this kind of practice can be really different from people to people. Many people don't like it at all. It's good to know good to realize what kind of reaction we have. It doesn't need to be, there is no reaction expected, good reaction or bad reactions. There are usually reactions when we realize what this is made up of. Realizing that how fragile this body is, if something starts to dysfunction, then the whole chain of normal functioning is disrupted. And usually when something starts to dysfunction, we need the help of people. We are not, it's difficult to survive completely alone. So this brings us to the notion of interconnectedness and humility, gratefulness for the part of the body that are still functioning. So what's the link with the today's theme? As I introduced the rebirth, to find the thing that we are when we die, then we are, because of our craving, we are reborn. And let's say, get another body, get one of those, if we are lucky to be reborn in the human realm. All right, for how long? The Buddha invites us to reflect on that. For how long we have been into these cycles of rebirth, being reborn as an animal in the hell realms, in the God's realms, as a human. And so I've selected these suttas. So it's from the Samyutta Nikaya, translation by Bhikkhu Bodhi. And this is chapter 5 of the Connected Discourses on Without Discoverable Beginning. This is when the Buddha says that samsara, so this cycle of being of rebirth, has no discoverable beginning. And it gives you an idea of for how long you've been given, not, it's difficult to talk in terms of you or me or being, but let's use this kind of language for how long, how many times we've been into this cycle of birth and death. And in those discourses, the Buddha gives similes to give us an idea of how long we've been doing this, maybe without knowing, and because of our ignorance and our craving, we keep doing that for a long, long time. So he addresses not lay people, but the bhikkhus, the monk. And the first simile that I like, well, okay, now this one, it gives kind of quantitative. All right, so we said that samsara has no you cannot find any beginning to it. And so it's it has lasted aeons and aeons and aeons. And there is one bhikkhu, one monk, who asked, but what is an aeon? How many years? And Buddha said, yeah, an aeon is long, and it's not easy to count it and say it is so many years, or so many hundreds of years, or so many thousands of years, or so many hundreds of thousands of years. All right. So in our ID, well, we've been to school. We think, okay, the universe was born in a certain number of billion of years, and we have this idea of the Big Bang, nothing before, and this expansion of the universe. Well, I'm a physicist. This is my job. Others are also physicists here, and okay, then it might not fit what the Buddha says, but sometimes I would say also that we have to be open-minded about all the possibilities, about contraction, expansion of the universe. And I had the question also when I was talking about this topic. Yeah, but the Big Bang and how it fits with actual science and so on. And I talked about that already in one talk. I say that, for example, Sir Roger Penrose has another explanation different than the Big Bang Theory. Is a Nobel Prize in physics, and he give this depiction of kind of tubular universes that are connected to each other. So that's interesting. It's another interpretation. He has also some, of course, physical arguments to defend his model of universe and times and development of the universe. So we can one day discover that there are other description theories about life and existence of this universe. But we are not talking really about precise science. It's quite it's not easy to defend, all right, what the Buddha says. If you have been brought up with modern science. So it says, so yeah, the bhikkhu say, okay, it's long, but can you give us a simile? And yeah, the Buddha say, yeah, it is possible, bhikkhu. And he gives, I won't read it because it's quite long, but he say, imagine a mountain, right? Very, very big mountain without no hole, no caves inside. And he said that at the end of every 100 years, a man would stroke the mountain once with a piece of cloth. All right. And he said that that great stone mountain might by this effort be worn away and eliminated, but the aeon would still not have come to an end. This is how long an aeon is. So imagine there is this very big mountain every 100 of years. You take a piece of cloth, wipe the mountain once, and then by this way, at some point, with all the wiping once every 100 years, the mountain might be worn away, and an end wouldn't have passed. And since samsara is many, 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 many eons, so it gives an idea, right? For how long we've been in that cycle ourselves, and how many bodies we've got. So he gives another simile at another occasion. So again, he said to the monks, "Because this samsara is without discoverable beginning. A first point is not discern of beings roaming and wandering, unhindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. One person roaming and wandering on for just one aeon would leave behind a stack of bones, a heap of bones, a pile of bones, as large as this Mount Vepula." So it was one of the mountains. All right, so he said that imagine that the bones wouldn't perish. You can pile the bones of every body you had, then yeah, it would be as high up as this big mountain for just one aeon. And imagine you've been through this for aeons and aeons and aeons. So how many bones you've left behind, right? It gives an idea for how long you've been around. It's a, and you see that of course we do not remember if you do not have access to our past life. So it's difficult to say, yeah, but, or you can imagine, yes, but I was another person, or, but this big mass of suffering. And then, as I said also, that it's good to know that this path of enlightenment is to stop this cycle of rebirth, not being reincarnated, not experiencing the senses again. And I would say, even if we are using the concepts or imagination to imagine this pile of bones, I don't know, something inside starts to really shift and say, maybe if there is no strong scientific evidence of all of that, maybe there might be a kind of subconscious, intuitive recognition of it, of that, yeah, it might be true. Or let's take this assumption seriously for my practice, if it's supporting the practice, if it's supporting the view. All right, this pile of bone. There is also another one. It's called the tears. Because of all this incarnation, how many tears have you? How do we say in English? The stream of tears that we have shed as we roamed and wandered through this long course, weeping and wailing because of being united with the disagreeable and separated from the agreeable. All those tears that we have shed, this alone is more than the water in the four great oceans. how many tears we have shed from being separated from the loved ones and associated to people we do not like for a long time, because you have experienced the death of a father, the death of a brother, the death of a sister, the death of a son, the death of a daughter, the loss of relatives, the loss of wealth, loss through illness. As you have experienced these, weeping and wailing because of being united with the disagreeable and separated from the agreeable, the stream of tears that you have shed is more than the water in the four great oceans. And as a conclusion, is by reflecting on this, by realizing that it is enough to experience revulsion towards all formation, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to be liberated from them. It feels like a heavy topic, isn't it? There's no joy in that, right? In this realization. It's like contemplation of death. It brings kind of grounding feeling. The mind might become calm or agitated, more often calm. So there is another simile, again with this every 100 years. Imagine, for example, a kind of big box of big container as big as a big mountain, and in that big container as big as a mountain, you would fill it with mustard seeds, and then every hundreds of years you pick up one mustard seed, so it's very tiny, right? And then an aeon wouldn't be enough to actually empty that big container of all those mustard seed. And this is how long we've been through that, driven by ignorance, not knowing the Dhamma, driven by our craving, we are reborn over and over again, experiencing suffering. And I would say that reflecting on that, we also realize the gift that is given to us, knowing the Dharma, knowing the way out. And also it starts to not to put a meaning on the end of suffering, but maybe realizing, not necessarily with too much thought, too much elaboration, but what this path is about, and why we also need every Sunday and why we practice. So, as I said, this kind of contemplation, reflection brings a certain kind of maybe groundedness feeling. Some say, okay, I don't feel good after that. Some would say, oh yeah, I feel very good because humility arises, urgency arises, because also realizing my own uh, fragility, my own sensitivity. I realize the sensitivity of others. I realize why everyone is actually trying to protect themselves, protect their life, protect their body, the fear of death. The fear of death actually brings you to very, is usually the origin of a lot of behavior. And as long as we haven't entered the first stage of enlightenment, stream entry, we are, if we die, and depending of the kamma we've made through our speech, thought, and actions, body actions, we will be brought to this world or this world, gods, the hells, the human realms. So it's very important also to, I would say, be mindful and to know your intentions, why you do what you're doing, because it has consequences. You never know how, when death will strike, and therefore, if you want to avoid any lower realms, then yeah, better do have good intentions, do good actions, pay attention to what you do, what you think. Also, thought or generate karma. So this is what is important, to be mindful of what's going on in our mind, to be mindful of our moods, of our energies. So this was today's talk. Thank you for your attention. Please join your hands and bow. All right, so if you have any question about the practice, about today's talk, about any related topic to the Dhamma, you're free to ask. You're welcome. And if you want to leave, please do so. You're welcome. Bye bye.